Hi, I'm Andre.
And I'm Andrea.
And we're doing Doctor Who. And we just finished watching The Daleks, the second ever Doctor Who story, 7 episodes.
The famous Daleks.
The famous Daleks. Now, this was the story that created such a nationwide craze for this show. I mean, can you see at all why?
No. Well, maybe. I mean, it's kind of like the first chunk of episodes, it was all human-looking, people or whatever. So this is the first kind of really odd, robot-y sort of thing. So I could see where that would be maybe cool or something.
What did you think of the Daleks themselves?
I kind of like the Daleks, but I think that's because you told me that there's people under there, like, riding a tricycle, and that's how they, like, get around, and I just, like, want to get under there and, like flash that little light thing. I don't know. I don't know. They're supposed to be scary, but I'm like, they're kind of adorable. So, I don't know. I liked the Daleks. I like them.
What did you think of the story?
I was cool with the story until they got out of the city, and then they were like, oh crap, we forgot something. Like 4 episodes of them trying to get out of the city, they finally get out, and then like 2 seconds later they're like, oh crap, let's go back. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm glad we sort of split watching those up, because I was like, no, you guys are frustrating me now.
But at least that led to that great sequence in the cave where everybody jumps one at a time over the chasm.
Yeah, the cave was a little torturous. I'm like, yeah, you guys are just kind of walking around, talking, jumping over things. Any day now, you could have something else happen.
Yeah, they could probably have just taken episode 6 right out, and it wouldn't have...
Maybe, yeah.
Too much.
Well, and that's what I thought when they finally got into the city. I was like, isn't it funny that they went through, like, all of this torturous, like, swamp, cave, like, they're covered in dirt, all this stuff.
People died.
And then Susan and the doctor just, like, went in the front door.
They just showed up.
Basically.
Yeah,
and I'm like, they all ended up in the same spot, in the same situation. So what was the point of the going around
to
the
fill 2 episodes.
Swampy way? Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's unfortunate that they had deaths, unnecessary deaths. So, yeah.
What I really like about this story is sort of the philosophical weight that is put on the decision of the Falls. I mean, we've got our characters who they have a very selfish reason for wanting the Falls to fight the Daleks, and they're manipulating them into leaving their pacifist ways behind and waging war basically for them. And the story doesn't sugarcoat that. It makes that a very real moral dilemma. Right.
Well, I did think the line that was interesting was when I don't have all the characters straight yet, but one of the is it Thors?
Which one?
What's the name of their people? The good-looking Thals. I'm like, Thor? That's not right.
Thors.
Thals. When he said that if they let them go and die, then they might as well have just killed them themselves or whatever, which is sort of, transcends generations of war, basically. It's like you could look at many wars that the United States has been in and sort of say the same thing, I guess. So I thought that was interesting, that was sort of, that whole conversation was interesting that happened in.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the whole story, I think, is that conversation at the beginning of episode 5, where they're trying to decide. That's the real moral weight of the story, is right there. But the rest of it is just a really fun, I thought, action romp.
I just loved the battle at the end, where it was like they're supposed to be, the Daleks are supposed to be these big scary sort of machines, and then he just like picks up this horseshoe looking thing and he's like, take this, and he like kills him. I don't know, and then he's like jumping on its back or whatever, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I always feel things like that are better in theory than they are.
Yeah,
like
in the script it says epic battle, and then
Yeah.
Probably.
Right, yeah, and to the Thals, that's an epic battle. But
Right.
you know what we saw on screen was a BBC budget from
Right.
1964.
Well, they are pacifists, so him picking up that
That's
horseshoe
true.
and throwing
That's
it,
a big deal.
that was probably a big deal to him.
That's a really
He was
big
like,
deal.
this is as violent as I get.
So overall, your thoughts on the Daleks?
I definitely liked it better than the story before. It was more interesting. I do think that they probably could have just cut that whole one episode out. But I do find the Daleks, their characters are interesting because they're very cold. But then they have this thing together. They're obviously protecting each other, but they don't care about anything else. So they are kind of interesting.
Yeah.
People or whatever they are.
Yeah, the line that Ian says early in the story is a dislike for the unlike, which is kind of their whole character.
Right.
They only care about the Daleks themselves, and
Right.
all other life forms should be exterminated.
Right.
So that's, it's kind of cut and dry.
That's harsh.
So that's the Daleks. When we come back, we're going to be doing The Edge of Destruction, which is the third story. So
Dun dun dun.
yeah, thanks for watching.